Hello and welcome to the latest webinar from Essent. Today we're going to take an inside look at EssentOne, specifically in terms of accounting. EssentOne features an integrated accounting engine so that the system automatically performs accounting activities for you. Even sophisticated activities, like job costing, are performed automatically just as a side effect of processing orders. My name is Doug Brill. I'm the Essent Marketing Coordinator and I specialize in the promotional products industry. I'm also your moderator for today. Before we begin, a very brief overview of Essent. Essent is the leader in providing comprehensive business management solutions since 1981. Essent has been serving distributors, decorators, and suppliers in the promotional products industry since the year 2000, and more than $3 billion in commerce flows through Essent solutions each year. We want to answer everyone's questions in a way that's sensitive to everyone's time, and we do aim to wrap up within half an hour. So if you do have questions, we ask that you please submit them in the webinar dashboard, and then we'll be happy to answer those questions offline after the webinar has ended. EssentOne is a fully integrated business management system. That means that information flows automatically from one step of the order lifecycle to the next. Data flows from pre-sales to sales to fulfillment all the way out to accounting, and it all happens without the redundant and time-intensive rekeying of information. The result is the most efficient order lifecycle possible. Today, we're going to take a look at the employee-facing portion of Essent, namely the EssentOne Business Management System. But I also want to point out that in addition to your back-office solutions, Essent also offers customer-facing solutions such as e-commerce websites and company stores. And we also offer vendor-facing solutions such as integration with your suppliers. Here's a top-level look at what Essent does. You can see it touches every part of the order lifecycle, from sales and marketing all the way out to accounting. And the portion we're here to focus on today is accounting, how EssentOne automatically performs accounting activities just as a side effect of processing orders. And with that, here to take you into greater detail is your presenter, Brian Schaefer. Brian is the Vice President of Sales for Essent, and he's also a specialist in the promotional products industry. Brian will tell you a little more about how EssentOne automatically handles accounting. Then he'll take you inside EssentOne so you can see it for yourself.
All right, thank you, Doug. As we talk about integrated accounting versus segregated accounting, I want to compare the differences. So when we talk about segregated accounting, what we're referring to is many people on this call have two different systems, one for order management and one for accounting. So what that requires is manual and duplicate data entry. So you'll enter the information once on a sales order and you'll rekey the information for an invoice. So you'll enter the information in once on a purchase order and you rekey in the bill when it comes in. Whereas orders are processed, there's manual journal postings that are required. So this requires a lot of time and labor to enter everything twice, and it also brings up human error. When there's delays to enter information, this causes a delay, so the information is never real time and you're always looking at yesterday's information. Organizations falter with no enforcement of business rules because mistakes can occur at any time and are just corrected in the next phase of the process. So it's flexible to a fault, meaning you can make a mistake in the sales order but just correct it when you invoice, or make a mistake on the order and just do journal entries to correct that. So there's no enforcement of business rules, there's no workflow of your process to make sure the order is processing the way you want it to. As we look at the other side of the coin, the integrated accounting, which we're going to look at from EssentOne, we bring it all together. So the orders flow automatically, and it defines the postings, the invoicing rules, the commission, everything just as a side effect of the order processing. It's integrated with operations, so information flows from quote to sales order to purchase order to all the way out to invoicing without ever having to rekey information in. This all occurs simply as a side effect. So your invoicing, your job costing, your commission, your GL posting, all occur just as a side effect of you doing your normal business. And the integration occurs real time, so there's no duplicate data entry, there's no human error, and you're always looking at the most accurate information to make your financial decisions. Integration avoids the questions from accounting of, do we charge the customer for this overrun? Or when should we invoice this order? Should I do it based on each shipment, or do I wait till I vouch and bill? Accounting can define the net terms and the credit limits of a customer, and then that can automatically be enforced up front for order entry to make sure the order is entered correctly. Prepayments or deposits on a sales order can automatically adjust the invoice. Postings can automatically be based on the order or the product to make sure everything hits the appropriate revenue and expense postings. And as bills are entered into the system, the payables automatically job cost the sales order for accurate profitability, and that adjusting the profitability of the order will automatically adjust the sales commission as a side effect of that. So now we've given you an explanation. Let's go in and take a look here at EssentOne and show you how we do that. So I'm going to log in here. As we talk about how the integration of operations with accounting, I want to give you a real brief introduction of an example of that, of how information flows from the sales all the way out to operations. I'm going to jump here from the sales side and just jump into a sales order here real quick. And as you can see, the sales order is for my customer Acme, and I have sold them a shirt which is being embroidered. So some of the information that's relevant here at order processing that'll flow out to automate the accounting side, which we'll take a look at here in 1 second, is first off with the shipping. I can dictate what are we charging for shipping. So in this case, we're charging the actual freight, plus it's automatically marking the freight up by $10. So once the order ships and is vouched, accounting doesn't have to question what we're charging for invoicing. It'll automatically dictate the appropriate shipping charges on the invoice. In this case, I have two different suppliers. I have a Sanmar and I have a decorator. So the purchase orders are tied back to the sales order. So as the payables come in, that'll automatically job cost back to the sales order. And if I look at the accounting rules here, I can see there's a credit limit applied to this customer, so you make sure I don't go over that. I can see the terms have been dictated by accounting, so I can't go over that. I could see the flexibility of when we want to invoice. Is it on each shipment, on the final shipment, or do I want to wait till I vouch and bill? And in this example, sales has even received a $500 deposit on the order, which is going to come off when we come time to invoicing. I could see the commission, which has been calculated. So in this case, it's showing me what the table is. It's showing me what's commissionable and what's not commissionable. So again, as the order processes, commission is automated for the accounting side, all based on what is dictated upstream. And then in summary, I can even see the financial summary all the way back here in the sales, the price, cost, profit, etc. So with that being said, that gives you a background of how the operation engine will feed into the accounting. So let's jump into accounting. We'll start with the foundation of accounting, the general ledger. And with each of these segments we'll look at here, it starts with an opening dashboard of what we want to look at here. So in this dashboard, we'll see that there is the cash flow, what has come in and what has come out, and what is my net difference, my balance sheet of my assets and my liability and equity, my income statement of my revenue and my profit, and my cash of what is coming in from the bank account, checks, and from credit cards. We're going to start with where every accounting system starts, with your chart of accounts. The chart of accounts in this case is defined by you. So you dictate the names of the accounts and the numbers of the accounts. So I can come in here and I can take a look at any particular account. So I jump into example for my commission expense account here. You can define behind the scene what type of account that is. Is it a group or summary account that's rolling up for reporting? Is it a controlled system account, or is this an account that I'm managing? And I can even have notes and memos to help me track how I'm using this account. So again, it's the chart of account is completely defined by you. As we look at the general journal, I can see the postings that have occurred here, and I can do manual journal entries as well. If I look, for example, what is my GL today, here are all my postings that have occurred. And if I come down and take a look at a particular posting here, I could see everything that made up that posting, all the debits and credits that have made up that. We are a GAAP compliant accounting system, generally accepted accounting system, meaning debits and credits must equal. And in this case, I can even take a look at the invoice here and see where that posting came from, what the source document was, and I can even see the example of the source document, so I can see the actual invoice document here of what made up that invoice, the items, the sales tax and sales commission, the profitability of the order, and again, back to the postings that made up this transaction. So I went from the chart of accounts, going into the chart of accounts, seeing up to the postings that made up that chart of account, all the way back to the original source document, in this case, the invoice itself that made that up. And then also under general accounting, we'll take a look at accounting periods. So accounting periods are very flexible in EssentOne. So you can have up to 13 periods a year. And I'll jump into my open periods here. And you'll see you do have the flexibility, if you so desire, you can have multiple years open at the same time. The months within a year are very flexible in that they're a soft close. So in this case, so let's say 2011, I'm not dealing with that anymore. So I'm going to close that period, and I'm not going to work with that period anymore. But let's say a bill came in, or I see something I missed. I need to go back and I need to adjust that closed period and post date a posting. I can actually open that period up, do the posting, and then close it again. So that's your month-end close process, is just the open and close with a click of the button. It's open, it's closed, and that's it. So it gives you that complete flexibility to lock periods down by closing them so nothing gets posted to them, but the flexibility, if and when you need to go back to a closed period, you have that flexibility to do so. The exception to that would be, obviously, you're going to do your year-end close, and then that would do your retained earnings postings. So that is my general ledger. So now we'll jump over to the payable side here. And again, it starts with an opening dashboard here, where I can see my total payables, what's out there, the current payables, and what's past due. I can see what do I need to pay. I can see the sales commission. I can even see a history of what I paid. Each one of these dashboards can be filtered by date range as well, so I can see how that's changed over time. So the first key to payables is the suppliers who I'm going to pay. So I can come in here and I can manage all my suppliers that I pay. And you can star and flag certain suppliers that are most important for you to track. So in this case, Baltimore Glass is one of my key suppliers. So if I jump into that, I can see all the relevant information on the account. I can see their address, their phone, etc. And I'll jump all the way over to the relevant administrative information. I can see the shipping information of where does Baltimore Glass ship from, and there's Baltimore. How do they normally ship, and what shipping methods do they support? And then I can also look from the payable side, is what are my terms with them? Is there a credit limit that's available? And what payment methods do they accept? So for example, if they didn't accept American Express, then it wouldn't allow me to pay by American Express for this vendor, for example. Okay. So that gives you an example of the payable from the supplier side. So now let's look at actually entering a bill in. So I receive a bill in, enter in a new bill. The first thing it does is allows me to match it up with a purchase order. So if I enter that up, I can have this purchase order here, and this is tied back to Baltimore Glass, so I can enter their invoice number in. And typically when you receive a bill in the mail, you're going to have a dollar value on that bill. In this case, because I'm working backward, I don't actually have a document in front of me. So, and I entered the wrong, so I enter in the invoice amount, and I don't have the dollar amount. So now we do it. So now I've got this bill in my hand for Baltimore Glass, and I can see what is on that bill. And in this case, it's a ceramic mug, and there was 500 of them. So let's say the bill comes to the purchase order comes in, it's $1.23. So the purchase order is $1.23 or $615 in total. Let's say there's a mistake and the bill comes in and it doesn't match the purchase order. So the integration with operations first off tells me what it should be. Let's say we get this in and it's $1.30 on the bill instead of the $1.23. So they go in here and do a comparison. EssentOne will tell me the purchase order said it was $615, but the bill says it's $650, and so there's a $35 variance or a 5% variance between what purchasing said and what the bill came in at. So if I have a question on that, I can go out and look at the actual sales order right here and see what the sales order said. I can also go back and look at the purchase order and see what that said. So as we talk about integrated accounting with operations, this is a perfect example of that, where right inside the bill of detail, I can see everything that occurred from sales and purchasing, all without ever leaving the bill of detail. So I have complete visibility to everything that happened in operations, all inside of the bill of detail. So let's say I go through all that and I can't figure this out. I can actually put this order on hold and say I'm not going to pay this bill, and I can give an explanation of why I'm not paying that. So sales, for example, could see why they haven't gotten their commission yet. Let's say we go through all of those steps, and lo and behold, there was a mistake made at the purchase order side, and this bill is actually correct. It should be $650. So when I enter that payable in, and enter that in as $650, and now when I go to approve that variance that we just talked about, when I approve this, will automatically be tied back to the sales order. So as a side effect of entering this bill in, the profitability of that order just adjusted and sales commission just adjusted, and all I had to do was approve a payable, and all these phases upstream from sales and purchasing were updated automatically as a side effect of approving a bill. As you're paying bills, quite often you have reoccurring bills that you pay on a regular basis. So we call those scheduled liabilities. So if I look at scheduled liabilities can be calculated one of three different ways. One is where the system will calculate the total amount due. So a perfect example of that would be sales tax. So as orders get processed, EssentOne will determine the sales tax that is due, and you come in and just process the sales tax and remit that. Second example would be a fixed amount. So a good example of that would be rent, where you're paying the same dollar amount every single month, and you can schedule that rent payment on the first of each month. And then the third example would be where the system will calculate based on a percentage of the amount. So a good example of that would be we have some sort of a credit limit or a loan that you're paying off, and you're paying off the interest of the loan. So those scheduled liabilities can be managed in the system and based on the frequency, and every month all you do is come in and check them off and make the payment, and EssentOne will automate that. Another example of a payable would be paying your employees commission. Well, for us, for EssentOne, commission can be to an employee, it can be to a supplier for some sort of a rebate or a supplier contact like a 1099, or it could be some sort of a customer rebate. So as I come in here, so let's say I'm going to pay my employees a commission here. So I'll select the sales rep here, we'll pay Jim. So EssentOne will calculate all the commission is due. So again, this is automated from the operations side, so it's only going to show me the commission due based on the commission table. So in my example, I pay commission paid on paid. So it's only going to show here to pay Jim his commission when I've gotten paid on the invoice that I've sent the customer. So you can dictate your commission rules accordingly. But in this example, let's say I come in and I check these orders off that I've received payment on and I want to pay Jim commission. It'll do the math for me here, where there's $3,400 in commission that is outstanding in total, and I just selected $1,600 to pay him. So I could pay more or less. So if I want to do a partial amount due, so I'm only paying $1,600 instead of the whole $3,400, I could do so. I could also give him a draw and say I promised him he's going to get $4,000 commission every month no matter what. I could pay him the $4,000 and then it'll show a negative balance next month when I come in to pay him commission. So commission management is fully automated all the way back from the sales order process. I can also see the aging of my past due suppliers for the bills and see what is over 90 days and what do I need to give attention to from the payable side. And then last but not least, I can actually pay bills. So I can come in here and I can pay bills here. And as I come in, I can see all what I need to pay here. So here are all the outstanding bills that I've received in and have approved but have not yet paid. And at that point, I can come in and just check them off and pay them that simply. So that's the accounts payable process. And last but not least, then, everybody's favorite part is receivables, where I actually bring the money in. So here I can look at, again, at the opening dashboard where it shows me a total of my AR, what receivables are out there and which ones are current, which ones are past due. I can see the payment that we've actually received, and I can see my cash flow over a period of time and see how that looks. I can see what money have I received that's ready to deposit. So as I come in to invoicing, again, the power of EssentOne is that invoicing is automated based on the sales order rules. So in this case, so the sales order can dictate whether the invoicing occurs on shipments or final shipment or based on job costing rules. And I can come in here and see these are the orders that have been shipped or been vouched, so therefore they're ready for invoicing. And all I have to do is check them off and they're ready to invoice. And all I do is check them off and it'll deliver based on that customer's preference. And I can go deliver it now, or I can deliver it after hours if I don't want to tie up my email server. So that simply I can generate the invoice. So the invoice is delivered. You can determine the preferred delivery method. So there's a copy of the invoice that went out. And also the ability to manage different types of invoices. So pro forma invoice would be something the order hasn't been completed, but the customer requires an invoice up front. So sales can request a pro forma, and I could deliver that invoice to get the money up front, even though the services haven't been completed yet. And I can also have consolidated invoicing, where I could take multiple sales orders, tie them together to one invoice. So let's say you have a program and you have 100 people order a shirt over the next month. You could take those 100 orders and put them all into one invoice as well. After I can manage all the invoices that I've delivered. So here are the invoices that I've delivered. And any one I can go back and review and see the draft of that invoice of the bill to the ship to, the product information on that. I could see the total disbursements of sales tax and sales commission. I can see the profitability of the order, and again review where that hit my GL. I can also receive a payment in, which is always fun. So I can go in and take a look at a customer to Acme, and I can see they owe me $3,900. There's nothing past due, they're current, and I could come in and I could receive a payment in from Acme. So, and that can be by check or credit cards. Let's say they send me a check for $3,000, and that check came in from Elmer, and I can enter in my check number. So from here, if there's a credit on account, I can apply that. In this case, I can come into the invoices, and I can apply that payment toward the invoice. In this case, I received a partial payment, and the balance will still be due. I could also apply a prepayment to a sales order as well. So if I have if they're giving me a deposit for a sales order that hasn't yet been invoiced, I could do that. And then I can confirm the summary here of the credit, the payment, and the balance, and I can receive that in. And the payment was successfully received. So that's always a good thing. So now we've taken a look at EssentOne, so let's go back and just summarize what we just looked at here. Okay. So as we look here, what we just took a look at here with EssentOne is we looked at the general ledger, the chart of accounts. We looked at how we could do manual journal entries and how we could drill into the journal entries all the way back to the original source document. We looked at the ease where you could, the soft close where you can open and close a period. We looked at the accounts payable side where we see bills in, and those bills were linked all the way back to the purchase order and the sales order for real-time job costing, showing the power of the integration from accounting back to the operations. We looked at the scheduled liabilities where you can have those reoccurring payables and the system can automate that so you keep track of them and you can go in and pay them with a click of the button. We looked at the simplicity of how you can manage your sales order process, automatically calculate the sales tax and remit the payment. And we looked at the AR side where the orders flowed out all the way from sales order, the invoicing automatically without any rekeying of information. We looked at the ability to take multiple sales orders and consolidate those onto one invoice. We saw the ability to receive payment, how you could apply a credit or a refund and manage that, and how you could look at simply at the past due accounts and issue collections and send out statements. And we saw how the sales order could receive a prepayment which was tracked and it would automatically adjust the invoicing. So that is the power of EssentOne and its automated accounting. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Doug to tell you how you can find more information.
Thank you very much, Brian. The best way to learn more about EssentOne is to get your own one-on-one demonstration. Just visit essent.com/EssentOneDemo to schedule a free session for you and your company. You'll be able to view and review the specific features that interest you the most, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. Again, that's essent.com/EssentOneDemo to schedule your own session to learn more. Thanks again to everyone for attending today's webinar, EssentOne, a fresh yet completely familiar way to manage the critical parts of your business.